Hi, welcome. I'm Nira Berry, the happiness coach, and your host of Happy and Healthy, where we explore and discover all the many ways of keeping you feeling happy and healthy. And remember to stay tuned to the end for my Good to Know segment, where I've always got something good to share with you. So today we're going to interview and find out all about staying healthy. And so I want you to meet my guest today. My guest is Dr. Veronica Hayduk, and she's a licensed naturopathic doctor and owner of Second Nature Health. So welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, I'm so excited because I really don't know that much about it, and I've always been really, really curious. So let's just start off with, what is a naturopathic doctor?
So naturopathic doctors are trained like regular primary care doctors. We just practice a little bit differently. So I could have 10 people for, let's say, high blood pressure, and all 10 of those people may have their own unique plan of undoing it, or many people don't want to take pharmaceuticals, or the option, there is no pharmaceutical for it, or people just want to live a better, healthier life, and whatever that would look like. So naturopathic doctor would be the person for what's the best approach for me, preventative medicine versus I have this concern that I'd like not to have or not to get worse. And so it could be just preventative wellness for everybody in my family has this disease. I don't want this disease. What can I do? Versus the diabetes, thyroid issues, digestive issues, the gamut, you name it, a naturopathic doctor or a naturopathic approach can certainly assist with whatever that condition could be.
Well, that sounds really interesting, and I could think of like a number of people that I should like be telling them about this right now. So how did you get interested in this? How did you get into this field?
Well, if my mom was here, she'd say that I always wanted to be a doctor. And in fact, I would actually take a pen and put a pin on the pen, and I would make like a mock needle because I was a kid, right? So every time you go to the doctor, you get a vaccination.
Yeah.
So these stuffed animals were like my patients, if you will, and I would pretend on them and put Band-Aids on them and the whole gamut. And then I went and got older and then started learning more about plants and ended up stumbling upon this book called The Herb Book by John Lust and how you can take dandelion for the liver or other herbs and plants to be able to use for various medicines, and started looking around because I grew up in this area. I'm like, gee, there's dandelion right here. What happens if you eat the dandelion or you put the dandelion, you chop it all up or whatever? So that was the next step. I didn't really know about naturopathic medicine until I was well along into my programs and studies. I was actually going to go to regular medical school, so it ended up being kind of a blessing in disguise because it was certainly a much, much better fit for me because we learned every single thing a regular primary care doctor learns, all the pharmaceuticals, all the modalities, all that they would have, but then to not have to actually use them. So it's been fabulous because just helping people see that there's more to their health than going to the pharmacy to fill scripts.
Yeah, so that actually leads me into my next question is like, how does it differ in your treatment plan than like, let's say, the average American or Western doctor?
So in certain states, Maryland, we're not quite there yet, but in other states, a naturopathic doctor could be a one-stop shop. So you could see the naturopathic doctor for your everything, including well women's exams, consults, blood work. But then it's just, then what happens? So it's not here, fill the script if you need to, plus other herbs, supplements, nutrients, and those sort of things at the first visit. So there's way more to a naturopathic medical visit than just a 6-minute, consult that you may have, which is the appeal for a lot of people, especially people who have more than just one thing that's going on. What's the one thing or two things that you can look at that ties it all sort of together? For instance, a person's thyroid levels may be hypothyroid, but it could be for many, many reasons on why their thyroid's underactive. It could be a lack of nutrients, it could be something in the environment, it could be a heavy metal, it could be lots of things on why this little sensitive gland is causing so many problems with people. But they may go to their endocrinologist or regular primary care doctor, and they just write the script and send them out on the way, having maybe not, I'm not saying all of them, but not really looking at why does this person have this problem with the thyroid. They just want to go fix it at the pharmacy, versus the patients that would come to see me are like, there's got to be something, what's really going on? And that's when we look into are you giving your body everything that it needs? Is there some other herb? Is there a homeopathic? Is there something else that we can use and do in addition to the pharmaceutical or instead of that can and gets them to see where they want to? So we can see things on lab work, And then patients are also feeling better and then doing better. Because what happens often is, I'm taking the medicine, doctor, but I'm not feeling any better. I still feel crummy. Doctor just kind of shrugs their shoulders, doesn't know what to do. So they send them out to a specialist, tell them it's just in their head, or they just don't really say anything. So the patient goes home and feels frustrated and even more miserable. Well, that's not healthy, is it?
No. It's just so logical. It makes so much sense to me that, like, let's say it's like you gave an example of a thyroid problem that, usually if you do go, they do some lab work, but it just shows that they have a thyroid problem,
There's
right?
7 parts of the thyroid on testing. So I would look at all of those on lab testing. Very often, you'll just get one little value on the test, not all of it. Well, it's not the full picture. That's just a small little segment of the picture.
So what would you do differently? Like, can you give me an example of somebody that you helped with that?
With a thyroid issue, certainly if they're on pharmaceuticals, what can happen is they keep having to take more and more and more, or their levels are all over the place, because when it comes to the thyroid, because it's a hormone, there's other hormones in the body, so it could even be another body system on why the thyroid's off. Could be a digestive issue. It could be an adrenal issue. The adrenals regulate our stress by pumping out this hormone called cortisol. And for many, many people, they're stressed out. So that makes the thyroid work faster or harder because our thyroid's our metabolism. Oh, I'm run out. I'm so tired. I'm so fatigued. They go to the doctor. Oh, it's your thyroid. Take the thyroid medicine. But I still feel awful. I still feel miserable. So that's why it's really looking at all the different pieces and component to a person, not just the quick and easy script.
And so, so let's continue with that person. Like, so let's say they come to you, and so what do you do to evaluate?
What would we do differently?
Yeah.
So then I would probably send them for the lab work, looking at making sure they're not anemic, making sure there's not other things that could be leading to their symptoms, not just the thyroid issue. And then there's a host of various nutrients that are almost always notoriously seen in people with thyroid issues that we consume are low, or do a specialty testing to figure out if that's an option. Sometime, it's my first visit, it's about 2 hours long, so everybody is a little different. So it could just be, hey, I just want to try an herb for a while. So I have some people that want to do 10 different things, they're miserable, let's get better now. And I have a whole lot of other people that just want to do one little thing, does it help, did it not help, and then do the next one. So I have something called a naturopathic blueprint that I print in my office on all the things that we've talked about and what there is to do. Nutrients, not nutrients, but food allergies, or you're eating something that you don't know, well, I think I'm okay, but it could not be okay, and absolutely can interfere with the thyroid, digestive issues. There's lots to thinking about and going on what it really is.
And so when somebody comes to you, you do this blueprint, and they start out with, for whatever issue they have, you determine whether or not they might have an allergy and whether or not they might they're lacking certain nutrients.
Often. We correct nutrient deficiencies first, because our bodies are desperately trying to get things into harmony, working very, very diligently. So sometimes all you have to do is just nudge it just in a different way with very simple things, and they're fine and they do great. Sometimes we have to work a little bit harder and do a little bit more.
Yeah. So can you give me an example of other types of issues that people have that that may be treated better?
I adore treating skin issues, which is really the big reason I actually became a naturopathic
like
doctor.
Skin cancer?
Sort of, more like acne, eczema, psoriasis, those sort of annoying skin diseases that aren't going to kill you, but you don't want to be scratching or ripping at your skin all the time.
Those?
I adore them. I adore skin issues because there's really nothing you can slather on the skin that's going to make any of that stuff go away. You got to do an inside-out approach. And typically people go to the dermatologist, it's this cream, it's this ointment, it's this antibiotic, it's whatever it is. Did it really make a difference? If you have to take something every single day to keep it under control, that didn't really treat it. You just put a Band-Aid on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you do the same.
Very similar, correct nutrient deficiencies, look at food allergies. So some things are common no matter what the concern is. But with skin things, what's really nice is you can tell within a week or two if it's making a difference versus some other things. So it's helpful to see, oh, look at that, we're getting there, and we're showing some signs of some progress. But certainly the eczema, and steroids aren't going to fix that. Antibiotics aren't going to fix acne, so it just needs to be looked at a little bit bigger and broader, especially for the young people who say may have very stubborn acne, and they may be talked into Accutane or something really horrible, and the mental and emotional things that go with long-term usage of that, or with antibiotics can really mess with the brain and cause all kinds of other issues. And like, I have this analogy that it's like burning your house down just because you have ants. Why do you want to burn your house just because there's ants in there? So it seems like with Western men, and for many, they're just trash the whole house just because there's some ants in it, and just get the ants to leave.
Yeah, and now we know that taking a lot of antibiotics, the long-term effects on your gut is really bad.
Really
and
bad
your
news.
Health
Even
in general.
people who take ibuprofen or over-the-counter pain relievers, oh, I got a bum knee, whatever, and they take those things for many months, sometimes for years, can permanently displace your gut flora. You'll never get it back, no matter how many probiotics you take. So it's really dangerous when you, oh, just take the ibuprofen for the knee pain. I'm like, why don't you figure out why there's knee pain and what can you do with that versus just taking the ibuprofen?
I didn't know that the ibuprofen had a reaction, as far as your gut.
Yeah.
Like reducing all the healthy, bacteria that's supposed to be there. I didn't know. I thought it was just antibiotics.
No, there's lots of other pharmaceuticals that can displace the gut flora too.
Wow, because there's so many people that live on that.
They live on it because they don't know that there could be, some great herb, and there's a lot of them that can cut the pain that works beautifully, or certain other approaches. I see food sensitivities a lot, even for chronic pain. If they've ruled out it's not something broken, there's nothing to repair, but they still hurt, why do you still hurt? Especially if you haven't hurt your whole life. Just immediately, what is there? What can we do? And oftentimes it just takes a couple weeks, couple months to figure it out, and it's amazing and just how much better it is. I had this one lady who was a waitress, and she loved the tomato soup, but she had crippling pain because that's what waitresses do. We carry the plates up here. And so she'd have the snack for lunch, which was the tomato soup. She had the arthritis. She had to quit the job. She comes to see me because she's in all this pain. Tell her, stop eating the tomatoes and the other family of nightshades. So she did. She got better. Went back to the doc. The doc's like, oh, well, we must have misdiagnosed you. You must be in remission. She's like, no, it's not that. But she's like, okay, that's fine. And then she decides to eat the tomato soup again or eat tomato products. And then within a day, all that crippling, horrible pain had come back, and she was miserable. So she didn't really need the stamp of the doctor's approval that you're okay. She just needed to leave tomatoes alone. And she is absolutely 100% fine. She just doesn't eat the tomatoes. But it would have been very difficult for her to figure out with more of a Western doc's approach when it's going to be more pharmaceuticals, more pain control. Now we're going to do injections. Now we may need some surgery, all these other very invasive things when all she has to do is just stop eating tomatoes.
Yeah. Well, that sounds so interesting, and I want to hear a lot more. So we're just going to continue. We're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back. So stay tuned.
You think getting dumped by text is harsh? Try getting dumped by a tennis ball. My ex-owner drove me out to the woods, yelled fetch, and by the time I brought the ball back, he was gone. Yeah, I was pissed. But the folks at the shelter helped me let go of my anger. I learned coping skills, like taking it to the hole. Boom! Now I'm ready to fetch again. But how about I throw and you run and get it?
Hi, welcome back. We're speaking with Dr. Veronica Hayduk, and she's a naturopathic doctor, and she's telling us all about all the different methods that we can stay healthy. And one of the things that we were talking about was the gut. And so I just wanted to finish up with that if you take the antibiotics or you take all the anti-inflammatories that really deplete your natural, gut flora, what can somebody do in the future if it's gone and doesn't come back? What can you do?
Well, of course, stop taking those things as much as possible, right?
Okay.
Stop putting the trash in the trash can if we can. And then we would be looking into giving the body all the things that it would really need then to heal. And so to undo some damage of an antibiotic would probably be a really good probiotic. My training before school was in microbiology, so I understand the value of what that looks like. And that is something where you would really need to put the money where it goes, because all roads lead to the gut. So no matter what the concern is, there's something you can do with the digestive system, because really we're more bacteria than we are actually human cells. So it's like we're kind of held together by bacteria and viruses and parasites. It's really interesting that we're kind of held together by these sort of things. Wow. And so you can move and change the genetic code on lots of things just by a really good probiotic. So to me, a good probiotic should be bought cold and kept cold. There's a few companies that are saying, no, that's not sort of true, and I should get out of the dark ages and come up to the light, and I'm working on that. But in the meantime,
not the shelf-stable ones?
Not necessarily those. I mean, they're supposedly working on them, but you're not going to go to some big box store where you could purchase your socks and underwear and buy your probiotics there too. So I would definitely not go to the grocery store. There's certain health food stores, internet things. The concern with the internet could be you don't know where it's being stored then too and how it's being sort of shipped. And so I usually lead off with a probiotic and explaining what a really good one looks like, so even at the health food store you can just arm yourself to what that would be.
Okay, so let's arm ourselves.
What's it going to look like, right?
Yeah.
So there's something called a CFU, which is a colony forming unit. So you want that number big. You don't want to see 5 or 6. You want to see 25, 30 big numbers.
Billions?
Yeah, that would be even better. And you want to also see more than just acidophilus in there. So the more strains in there, the better. The one that's at my office has 12, I think there's 12 or 15 different strains, and it's 100 billion and a quarter teaspoon. That's a lot. And
it's liquid.
That's a powder. And capsules then too. So cost as a trick. Typically, things that are sold in powders are less expensive than things that are sold in capsules because it's a convenience. So if people looking for how can I get the good things without cutting some of the costs, absolutely, powders are a fine option. So the probiotic powder, it's great. Not so great for traveling, but great for being at home. You can just take such a small little amount with food, doesn't really taste, and you're just kind of done with it.
Oh, that's a great idea.
That's a great idea. Then you have to swallow a bunch of capsules and things from that.
Right, that are usually encased in something.
Something in there. The body still has to open it up and still has to digest it, and you can miss its stop along its way of the digestive system. With powders, especially probiotic powder, it starts in the mouth and then can kind of go all the way down through. And paying attention to probiotics, many of them have dairy in them. So if you're vegan, vegetarian, avoiding dairy sensitivity, better make sure your supplement, especially probiotics, don't have dairy in it, right?
Isn't that acidophilus? Isn't that from dairy? Like, isn't that like what's in yogurt? I think?
It's what's in yogurt, but there's many companies that can certainly manufacture that without any dairy behind.
Yeah, because I know that like, when I go to the store, it's very confusing, and you know, I try to mix it up. I buy like maybe 2 different brands, and so I try to mix it up.
Yogurt and kefir and kombucha drinks are fabulous,
Yeah.
but if you're trying to undo damage from an antibiotic or really trying to fortify that gut, I would just say go right into a supplement. You'll get there a lot faster than just from drinking and
Like twice
eating.
a day?
Probiotics?
Yeah, once a day?
Once a day for sure.
Yeah.
Twice a day for some people, it would be fine, but try to make it easy, right? Don't overwhelm them.
And is it with meals or before meals?
Always with food.
Really?
If they're telling you otherwise, they should call me up and explain to me why, because our digestive juices can kill off the probiotics, so it's best to have it with the food.
Oh, so I thought that there was more digestive juices when you're eating.
There are, but you don't want those acids to kill off the probiotics. So if you have it with the meal, it'll buffer it and it'll work better.
Oh, okay.
Some labels do say away from meals. I don't understand the wisdom on that.
Okay, so that's really good information, because that's a question that people ask me all the time. You know, before a meal, during a meal,
Before,
after
like
a meal.
minutes before the meal, but
Yeah.
I wouldn't wait half an hour before a meal. There's no.
All right, well, that's good information. And in general, like, you know, just so, since we're on the topic of probiotics, what about like multivitamins? Like, what is your philosophy about that?
I am an advocate of a multivitamin for everybody. All major medical journals have agreed that we cannot get our nutrients from our food supply. All organic means there's no insecticides or pesticides. And so great to eat organic has its value, but we cannot assume that green peppers and oranges have all the vitamin C that we need, no matter how many of them that we're eating. So the body's also pretty smart, and it can let go what it doesn't need. So there's really no reason why. There's a couple concerns, genetic things that you don't want to just put everybody on multivitamin, but as a whole, I sort of assume everybody's got some kind of deficiency, and that a multivitamin of a decent quality can and does make a huge difference. So what that would look like for me is it should be in a capsule, powder or capsule, right? So nothing hard-pressed tablets are not going to absorb very well for anybody. So no hard-pressed tablets, and that's pretty much the same for all the supplements, none of that. The second thing is, and I kind of mentioned earlier, is look at the junk. We got to get our junk out of our bodies. We got to stop putting junk in,
Yeah.
or the junk we're going to put in, at least going to taste good or feel good. It shouldn't be from our multivitamins. So read the other ingredients. You don't want a bunch of weirdo stuff in there.
Yeah, there's always like, other ingredients, and it lists
Polyvinyl
like a whole list.
and all kinds of talc and
Yeah.
nickel, and sometimes I've even seen artificial sweeteners. We're swallowing
Yeah,
this.
I've seen
Why do we
that.
got to make these sweet? Why do we need them colored and shellacked and sort of pretty? So
Yeah.
none of that. And typically with capsules, you don't have to worry about that. It's hard pressed tablets. And then I say everybody needs more magnesium, especially if anybody has cravings for chocolate, are almost always for magnesium deficiency.
Oh, really?
So magnesium is going to be in the multivitamin, at least it better be in
Because
the
I know that relaxes you too,
I love
right?
magnesium because
Yeah.
it can chill, but it also gives energy to inside of our cells, the mitochondria, which is our powerhouse. Magnesium gets in there and can give us energy. So we can relax and have energy at the same time. It's an amazing mineral.
So if you want to stay awake and have energy during the day, if you take your multivitamin, you take it with food in the
You
morning.
take your multivitamins with food in the
Good.
morning, right?
So how much of magnesium should you be
Well,
looking
what you're
for?
going to do with the supplement is make sure it doesn't say oxide, OXIDE, because then less than 10% is going to absorb. So you don't want that one. So just about any other form of magnesium is going to be just fine. And so at least you get the right form. And then you can assume that the manufacturers probably thought about the different B vitamins and other things in there to be of the right form. It's typically true. So if you see oxide, throw it out because the B vitamins and other things aren't going to be in the right form. And that can be, there's certain B vitamins that we have to be cautious of as we get older because we don't want the cheap synthetic stuff. It can feed cancers in older people. So it's like that. So paying attention to folic acid's important, but certainly the magnesium, making sure that's not an oxide. And the fourth part, which is very confusing for a lot of people, even those that are anemic, is no iron in a multivitamin. If somebody needs an iron supplement and they can't get it from their foods, they are to take the iron supplement separately because iron can compete for absorption with the other minerals that are in there.
Yeah, that's what I heard, that it's a whole game that you have to really understand with the vitamins. Because first of all, what if you're taking a lot of something that maybe your brain produces, and then your brain sees it's getting it every day, and then it starts slowing down and producing it naturally? Then are you dependent then on that vitamin? Does that happen, or is that
It
just
can.
like
There
folklore?
are certain. I do advocate like a holiday on every single day for the rest of your life. Multivitamins, no. There's many people who are super duper busy and just take their supplements just at work, and on the weekends they just forget about it.
Yeah.
That's fine. I'm also an advocate of. I love this multivitamin company, but I like this one too. Changing them up, especially with probiotics, different strains have different benefits. So dependency on that, not very likely, although people feel good on them, they don't really want to stop. And if you're not going to get it from your foods that we're all eating every day anyway, so then what's the harm for me in taking a multivitamin? And I think everybody needs more omega-3s or fish oil in some form or another, because those are really very, very difficult to get in our food choices.
And that also is, there's differences with that, because some of them are better for your heart, some of them are better for your brain, like the different ratio of, there's EPA, DHA, I think,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah, you got
So, so you have to know, what I guess is best. It can't harm you, can it, to take fish oil?
No. Well, the oil itself for some people, if they have gallbladder issues or fat digestive issues, that can be a problem. But otherwise, no. They used to think that it would thin the blood and you had to be cautious about certain medications, but they've continuously proven that's just not true. And even up through the few days of surgery, if anybody anticipated surgery, fish oil is fabulous for healing wounds, getting better. It's what the brain's made out of, nerve cells,
Yeah, it's
all of that.
It's supposed to help with focusing.
Helps with everything, 'cause if
your
you-
brain to work
Or else
better.
we're going to get it, right? It's going to happen in fish, not so much anymore.
Yeah.
And we got to worry about all the toxins and other things in fish too, so it's messy out there.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. That's what I was thinking. It's like it's really getting messy out there. We don't know what to eat anymore or what to take, and so I'm glad to get some information. So I have a friend whose daughter has Crohn's, and it's pretty bad. And I also know some other people that have it, and sometimes like at least once a year they may have to go to the hospital. I mean, it's pretty bad. Do you have any patients
I've
that have
worked
Crohn's?
with people who have said to me, my surgeon wants me to have the surgery now. He's agreed for 3 months. Is there anything we can do in 3 months? I don't want to have the surgery because you can't put the part back, right? And so there's a lot that can be done with a naturopathic approach, an integrative approach, whatever it can be. And with Crohn's or other digestive issues, you have to identify what they're eating that they're just not happy with. And for me, that's not the skin test stuff. That's an immediate reaction. I'd be looking for a delayed reaction, which is a little bit different through it's still a blood test that you can figure some of those things out. And that's really the magic. It's not always the usual suspects. It's not always dairy and wheat. It's amazing to me how many people are sensitive to things like vanilla and black pepper and ginger. Oh, ginger settles my stomach, so they eat a whole lot of ginger, right? And I should do the food allergy test. Ginger's off the chart, and look, it's keeping you sick, but you think it's keeping you healthy. So that's why a detailed food allergy panel is really helpful, because then you know the 144 foods, what to look at and start avoiding now, then systematically, because there's 1,001 diet plans and things that people have, and it gets overwhelming very, very quickly, right? So correct nutrient deficiencies, especially in digestive issues, and then with the symptoms, homeopathics and various herbs work charmingly for just stopping that and making them feel better, give them some energy, and hopefully, right, keep them out of the hospital.
That's important. So if somebody were just like looking to be just in general some preventive things, I know you mentioned the probiotics and the multivitamin. Is there
not everybody needs a probiotic every day, so it's not something that we're supposed to. I think multivitamin and probably some kind of fish oil most days on planet Earth are probably a good idea. For most of us, especially in the later months of the year, we need more vitamin D, especially if we're getting, that time that into December, January, when it's so gloomy and there's just like, come on, the nicer weather, then that's all the more reason we would likely need more of the vitamin D. So those are the big things that I advocate for most everyone. And of course, I'm sure you would agree, social connections and not being so isolated, and some of those things can, because we here on the East Coast are some stressed out people, and now I'm back to those adrenals, and typically people with digestive issues are not managing their stress well in their stomach. They can feel it in their stomach and the stomach pains. There's reasons we have those sayings, and they're notoriously the ones for that.
So stress management.
Stress management, or looking at that a little bit more. And then I recently had an 18-year-old who wasn't doing well, missing school, making him more anxious, falling farther behind, but making the digestive issues even worse and worse. So it's like this big vicious circle for the poor guy. Wants to get back to school, but can't because he's just too sick and can't do it.
Right. So if somebody wanted to find out more information, can you give us your website?
Oh, my website is secondnaturehealth.com.
Okay, great. And if you were just like running out the door in the morning and you had to do one thing to stay healthy, what would it be?
I bet you can guess. I'm going to say multivitamin.
Okay.
With a meal, and some fish oil with the meal then too. And there's a few amount of herbs and things that I absolutely take, because I know what the day is going to look like. And so why not just arm yourself with the best things possible and just take it or have it available. But it's amazing to me what simple things can really do to move mountains and climb hills.
Well, that's so great. I really enjoyed learning from you, meeting you, and just all the wisdom that you've given us, and hopefully our audience will learn from as well. So thank you so much for being my guest today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
So we're going to take a short break, and when we come back, I'm going to share with you my Good to Know segment. So stay tuned. Hi, I'm Nira Berry, the happiness coach, and I've always got something good to share with you. So now it's time for my Good to Know segment. And I want to speak to you about feeling really good. And we all really want to feel good, right? We all want to get that feeling where we're like, ah. And it might seem obvious that certain things really help us feel good. And one of them is really being outside. And being outside is really good for you. Whether it's taking in a walk or, just, getting your thoughts in order, maybe smelling the roses as you're walking down a path, or even gardening in your backyard. Just really getting outside is really a dependable way to feel better. And really the effect is real. It really is. And scientists have shown that nature can provide relief and really boost your mood. And really, it makes you feel wonderful, especially if you're, socially have social interactions, and this makes it even better. And when you're outside in the green grass, it really encourages physical exercise and even really helps with it really soothes mental issues that you may be grappling with. And really anything that anytime you're in a green space, it really boosts your happiness, whether or not you're walking down a trail, maybe you're surfing on the beach or mountain biking, any of those. It's really a wonderful way of feeling better. And it's a really great way of having an emotional attachment to your local green area by just connecting with people. And so if you connect with people while you're in this green or area or by the beach, it really helps you feel a little bit more grounded and feeling better. And really that's the secret to really enjoying nature, is especially if you're finding an activity to do when you're in this wonderful green space. And to really get the outcome you want, just pick the activity that you want to do. If you want to feel more relaxed, so just go to a quiet space. If you want to feel more energetic, really challenge yourself like outdoors. And really you can find comfort just by being outside, especially like if you're with animals and interacting with people. So let me know what you think about that. You can always reach me, Nira, the happiness coach, at info@niraberry.com. And I hope you enjoy the show and let me know what you think. I'm Nira Berry, your host of Happy and Healthy, and I hope you have a happy day.